right, assistant. Okay, cool. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to River Valley Junior Senior High School. My name is Elizabeth Ross, and I have the privilege of being the 612 band and choir director here at River Valley. It is my privilege to introduce the incredible musicians you're about to hear tonight. These are the members of our junior high and high school Western Valley Conference honor bands. These talented individuals have come together from our 10 schools in our conference, bringing their dedication, skill, and passion for music to this performance. Through countless hours of practice and hard work, they've earned the honor of performing for you today, and we are excited to share the results of their efforts. Each note played, each rhythm kept, and every harmony created represents the excellence that music can bring into our lives. Before we get started, I have some thanks I'd like to give out. First, to the River Valley staff and administrators for all the help they've given to me to make this a successful day. It takes a lot to do something like this, so thank you to them. Second, to all the conference directors for all their help in preparing for this and any extra help that we've needed throughout the day. And third, to our parent volunteers that I have. They've done a great job feeding the kids, making sure everything's cleaned up, just been great about helping behind the scenes. So I'd like to acknowledge all of those people. So the band that you just heard warm up is the Junior High Band, and I'm thrilled to introduce you to their guest conductor, as she is someone very special to me. Mrs. Jennifer Bliven is the current pre-K through 8th grade music and band teacher at St. Benedict Catholic School in Decorah, Iowa. Please take a moment to read her biography on your program. A native of Marcus, Iowa, she began her teaching career at Cherokee Middle School, which is where our paths crossed when I was an 8th grader. She is one of the first of many people to inspire me to do what I'm doing now, which is teaching band. It's quite the full circle moment to have her here as a guest director. Please welcome Jennifer Bliven and the Western Valley Conference Junior High Honor Band.
Hello, my name is Carly Kavanaugh, and I'm from Westwood Community Schools. This upbeat, fun song is called African Spirit Dance and evokes the spirit of South American traditional dance music. You will experience a fun percussive groove, along with syncopated melodies and blocked harmony accompaniments. A traditional call and response sections even include some blues notes that connect this piece to the American jazz music that so clearly grew out of this style. This is my favorite song because it introduces us to different music cultures and tests our limits with odd rhythms. We hope you enjoy African Spirit Dance by John O'Reilly. Hello, my name is Tessa Bennett from Mont Bronson. The emotional work of Gentle Spirit is an excellent study in phrasing and dynamics. We open up in a tender way and move into key change in the peak of the song. The song intertwines beautiful themes that will take you through an array of emotions. This is my favorite song because of how well every part flows together and how every individual instrument is unique in this piece. We hope you enjoy Of Gentle Spirit by William Owens.
Hello, my name is Lauren Johnson. Hot Fudge Sunday, and I'm from River Valley High School. Hot Fudge Sunday has the characteristics of the 1950s and 60s rock and roll music that will remind you of your favorite soda pop way back in the day, long before I was born. In this song, we focus on the long phrases and transitioning between tempo changes. This song is my favorite because I get to play the bass drum and it's a happy tune. We hope you enjoy Hot Fudge Sunday by David Martin. And don't worry, there's no calories or sugar consumed in this piece.
But I did hear from some of your Flowers from WC or Woodbury Central. Battle Song is an exciting and aggressive piece that has strong and challenging rhythm aspects that is heavy in the percussion section. You will hear repeated short melodic phrases called ostinatos, tornadoes, whatever. Splatted throughout, accomplished by opposing legato long tones to great tension. This is my favorite song because it sounds upbeat. So I hope you enjoy Battle Song by Randall Dramer. Whatever.
Awesome. And I just want to thank you as parents, because I know that you put up with the squeaks and the squawks that might have only been a year or two, hopefully 3 years ago. But hopefully you've heard some progress in them their first years of school. I think I just need to stop moving. I'm sorry. Does it? Okay, cut that out. And also teachers. Can I have the directors of these fine students in the back please stand? They need a huge round of applause. These directors put in countless hours, not only from 7:30 to 4, they put in afternoons or evenings, they put in weekends. You will often see them working at home, emails, all the things. So thank you, band directors, for allowing this to happen. And of course, you all came here knowing the music was going to be good, right? You knew it was going to be good because you know your kids. You know the loved ones sitting up here or over there. That was a given. But they have been very well behaved. They have been so polite. There was a couple times I had to tell them to stop running, but not too bad. And the coolest part is I've seen a lot of friendships built. So as you are driving home tonight, feel free to ask them, who did they sit by? What did they learn from the day? What were some of the new friends' names that they made? What is something that they learned or a new concept that they can take back and help their other friends back in their home bands? So try to have those types of conversations because, yeah, you guys knew that there's a lot of potential up here and they've rocked it today. So thank you again.
little intermission as we transition between the junior high and the high school band. So stand up, stretch, talk to your neighbor, make a friend. We'll be back shortly. second half. Thank you for your patience as we made that quick transition. This is the high school conference honor band. It is my honor to introduce their director. Dr. Christopher Brandt is the director of instrumental activities at my alma mater, Morningside College. College, not university. I'm that old. At Morningside, he conducts the Wind Ensemble, the Pride of Morningside Marching Band, the Mustang Pep Band, and teaches conducting and music education courses. He is also the director of the All-America Band in Sioux City, which I have the privilege of playing in under Dr. Brandt. Please take a moment to read Dr. Brandt's full biography in your program, as he has accomplished quite a lot in his career. As you'll see, it's really long. I haven't known Chris very long, but I can tell you he is great at programming concerts. He's great at making it educational, or whether you're in high school, or I still learn things playing in the All-America Band. So I can say that Chris is a very dedicated educator. He is a master at what he does. I mean, he's a doctor. That's pretty cool. But I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to introduce Dr. Brandt and the high school conference honor band.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much for being here tonight, coming out and supporting your students up on stage. My name is Dr. Christopher Band. I am the Director of Bands at Morningside, and it's been my pleasure to work with these folks today. Honor bands are such a strange thing. They get the music a couple weeks ago, but we never got to play together until this morning at 10 a.m. And with music, there's so much in an ensemble to get that all to come together. And so these guys got here right away at 10 a.m. and a little groggy for Monday, and many of us missing a few days due to some weather. But they came in and they got it and they worked after it, and so it's been a really, really great experience today. So the first piece was a march by John Philip Sousa, and our second piece is going to change modes just a little bit. Chasing Sunlight by Kate Nishimura. She's a Japanese-American composer, a living composer, and she has such a specific, unique sound, very optimistic, uplifting. So I really hope you enjoy Chasing Sunlight. The next piece that we're going to play for you is by Frank DeKelly. It's Cajun Folk Songs, and initially there's two movements, and today we're going to play the first movement, which is a nice, smooth, flowing ballad. And this pushed us in a number of ways. You think of a ballad, pretty music, and maybe it's more simple rhythms, more simple notes. But the setting of this one, it's the way it interweaves and it goes from one voice to another. And the students up here on stage really did a great job. That requires such an attention and an interactability between each other. And that's one of the great things about music. Especially in an ensemble setting. It's one thing to come up and play a solo and it's just you, and if you did the work, that's great, you're done, and it's good to go. But something very different to come together, and I think that's one of the things that music is so special in our schools, the opportunity to make those connections and to be part of a greater whole, a greater community. And I think those are just one of the many things that music teaches us and why it's so important. So really hope that you enjoy the first movement of Cajun Folk Songs. Well, before we play our last tune, I want to echo what the other director mentioned. There was a meme that went around a while back, and it was a picture of a fifth grade beginning orchestra, and then there was a picture of a professional orchestra, and it said, you can't have this without this. And it really is the truth. And I got my start teaching beginning bands, and those are some interesting sounds, right? But there's beauty in those sounds too, right? There's that potential, there's that energy. They're so excited when they finally get that G on the trumpet, or whatever it might be, when they get that sound, or just getting a sound on the flute, because it's all so different. That's exciting, and it's a different challenge. And I think that's, not to stand on my box and preach too much, but one of the things that music teaches us is how to fail and keep going, right? I can't tell you the number of times that I've failed when it comes to music, and music teaches us to fail, learn, fail better, and eventually succeed. And that's what gets you to here, and that's what gets you wherever you're going beyond there. And I mentioned to the students up here at our last rehearsal, for many of them, they're seniors, they're going into their last few months, and I said, you've been playing your instrument, many of you, for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And I said, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, music is one of those things that you can do your entire life. And Ms. Ross was mentioning the All-America Concert Band that I direct, and we have people in that ensemble well into their 80s. Some of them have been playing in the band for 35 years. And so it's one of those things that you can do your entire life. And I mentioned to them, if college is in your future, every single college in the state of Iowa and most everywhere else, there are scholarships just to be in band. Don't have to be a music major. We need music majors, that'd be great. We need new music teachers. But just to be in band. And even if you can't get a scholarship for that, just keep playing, because you put in the work, and now you're it's all good. But you're getting to the really good stuff, getting to the dessert. So I want to say thank you so much for having me out and allowing me to work with your children, your students. And real quick, before we play our last tune, I should probably put it in context a little bit. So the last tune is Hitchbot. And we're going to have a little track that we play along with. And a while back in early 2000s, there was this university in California that made this little robot thing that kind of hitchhiked across the North America. And so it was a robot, and it would interact, and it's an interesting story. And so this piece is based on that. So it's kind of robotic, and the composer, I had to write this down because it was just such an interesting image. He said in his mind it kind of combines, it's a Western funk kind of tune, and he says he imagines two robots hanging out by a campfire. So it's a little different, but I hope you'll enjoy, and like I say, thank you so much, and I do think the students earned ice cream or something. So thank you so much, hope that you enjoy Hitchbot.
another round of applause for these awesome student musicians. Once again, thank you all for coming out tonight. If you wouldn't mind, we do have to tear the gym down, so it would really help me out. This is more for my River Valley parents, but if you're feeling kind-hearted, if you're in a folding chair, if you could stack it up against the wall, that would make our jobs a little bit easier tonight. Thank you again for coming out. Have a safe drive home. Hopefully we have no more snow. And we'll see you next year.